This isn't something that was ever meant to be public. It's one of those secrets buried in forgotten books, whispered behind closed doors, confessed by powerful men who lost it all. But today, you're going to hear the truth. The real reason so many talented men bury their own potential. And the worst part, almost no one dares to talk about it openly. I know what you feel. You look back and remember moments when you shined. Brilliant ideas, endless energy, unstoppable drive. But somewhere along the way, something drained you, pulled you down, and kept you from becoming the man you could have been. That quiet pain of knowing, I could have been more, is the silent weight crushing thousands of men every single day. And don't fool yourself, it's not a lack of talent or intelligence. History is filled with geniuses, athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs whose brilliant minds were dimmed by the same silent enemies. The truth is, there's a dirty secret that drains the strength of men with potential. And once you see what this poison really is, you'll start seeing your life with absolute clarity. The danger? This enemy doesn't show up all at once. It disguises itself as pleasure, as well-deserved rest, as instant reward. You think you're in control until you realize your days, your discipline, and your vision for the future are no longer yours. That's where most men collapse. And only a rare few ever escape. This video is for you, the man who refuses to keep wasting himself on vices and distractions. If you truly want to rise into a man of value, you need to stay with me until the very end, because I'm about to expose what no one tells you, the hidden cost of giving in to these habits, why they keep you trapped, and the brutal but possible path to breaking free. But before I show you the solution, we need to talk about one thing first. The most common mistake almost every talented man makes without even realizing it. Most men think they can handle their vices on their own. They tell themselves things like, I can quit whenever I want, or this doesn't control me. But the truth is, the harder they try to prove they're in control, the deeper they become invisible prisoners of those habits. That self-deception is the first fatal mistake. Almost every talented man believes talent is enough. They put so much faith in their natural brilliance, their intelligence, their ability to learn fast, that they let their guard down. They think they can indulge in quick pleasures because, in the end, they'll figure it out. But that overconfidence becomes a trap. You've probably done this without even noticing. You worked hard for a few days, then when exhaustion hit, you escaped into hours of cheap pleasure. Whether it's porn, alcohol, drugs, gaming, or endless scrolling, every vice delivers that hit of instant gratification. And that illusion of control slowly turns into a destructive routine. Another common mistake is believing that addiction only ruins you when it's extreme. A man says, I'm not an alcoholic, I only drink socially, or I'm not addicted, I just use once in a while. What he doesn't see is that it's not about frequency, it's about the silent impact on his discipline and mental energy. Every slip, no matter how small, chips away at his ability to stay focused. There's also the dangerous lie of romanticizing chaos. Many artists, writers, even entrepreneurs convince themselves that vices fuel creativity. They tell the story that without a drink, inspiration doesn't come, or a cigarette clears my mind. But in reality, the vice drains the very energy that should be fueling their creation. Another brutal mistake is underestimating time. A man loses minutes, then hours, then whole days feeding small habits, and before he realizes it, months have gone by without real progress. That lost time is one of the greatest thieves of male potential. And finally, there's the most dangerous excuse of all. Everybody does it. He looks around, sees his friends, co-workers, even idols doing the same things, and convinces himself it's normal. But just because most men give in to vices doesn't make it acceptable. It only means most men will bury their potential long before they ever see how far they could have gone. Now that you understand the most common mistakes, it's time to face the hardest truth, the real consequences, and the invisible price of staying trapped in these habits. That's exactly what I'm going to show you in the next part. The truth is, every vice, no matter how small it seems, steals a piece of your vital energy. You think you're relaxing, but in reality, you're draining the fuel that should be powering the life you're supposed to build. As Benjamin Franklin once said, "Lost time is never found again." And when you waste time on vices, you're burning the fuel of your future. And the result? You lose precious years and stay stuck in the same place. So many men hit 30 or 40 only to realize they've built nothing solid, because they spent their youth numbing pain with quick pleasures. Vices also destroy discipline, the true engine of male success. Without discipline, there's no routine, no consistency, no results. You might have flashes of productivity, but never the constancy needed to build something great. It's like trying to run a marathon, but stopping at every corner to rest. Another invisible price is the collapse of self-esteem. At first, a man believes he controls his habits, but when he finally realizes the habits control him, his inner confidence breaks. And without confidence, even the rarest talent becomes useless. Science shows that excess dopamine from porn, drugs, gaming, and other addictions rewires the brain. You lose the ability to feel excitement for real achievements. It's like the real world fades into gray. That's why so many men feel drained, lost, and purposeless. The cruelest consequence is invisible: lost opportunities. While you're distracted, someone disciplined is taking the chance that could have been yours. And opportunities don't come back. They don't wait. They don't apologize. Life doesn't reward wasted talent. It rewards disciplined talent. As Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The man who clings to vices builds a routine of self-destruction. And over time, that routine becomes his identity. He stops being the talented guy and becomes the guy who could have been. The pain doesn't stop there. It strikes your health. Vices drain physical energy, disrupt hormones, wreck sexual and mental performance. And the man who can't master his body will never master the world around him. Without physical strength, even the brightest mind fades. Finally, there's the existential pain. That hollow feeling of knowing you were born for more, but wasting it. That weight breeds anxiety, depression, and the sting of failure. And the cruelest part, the more you feel the emptiness, the more you try to escape into vices, locking yourself into the cycle. Now that you've seen the brutal cost of staying trapped, we need to talk about something even darker. The illusion the market and even so-called experts sell you, reinforcing this cycle of destruction. That's exactly what we'll expose in the next part. You know what the most vicious trick is. Even so-called gurus and experts feed the very illusion that keeps men trapped. They sell quick fixes, magic pills, and shiny methods that only fuel the addiction cycle. Meanwhile, your life stays stuck in the same place. The market knows you're tired, undisciplined, and desperate for escape. That's why it sells you more distractions, more stimulation, more dopamine, all disguised as entertainment, wellness, or self-care. But in reality, it's just anesthesia. Have you noticed how the modern world is designed to addict you? Social media is engineered to hijack your attention. Entire industries profit off your inability to control your impulses. And then they condition you to believe this is normal. Even low-quality psychologists and coaches reinforce the same lie. They tell you, don't pressure yourself, live in the moment, everything in balance. But what they're really doing is normalizing weakness. They don't want you to break free from your vices. They want you comfortable inside them. Another trap is the glamorization of excess. Movies, music, pop culture, They show strong men drinking, smoking, destroying themselves in parties. It plants the idea that addiction is cool, that destruction is style. And thousands of men fall for it without even noticing. Even in the self-development world, the same pattern shows up. Courses and seminars that preach mindset, but never attack the root of addiction. Because if you truly set yourself free, you stop consuming. And the industry doesn't want a free man, it wants a dependent one. The cruelest part is that this illusion is sold as wisdom. They make you believe discipline is rigidity, self-control is prison, allowing yourself is maturity. But the reality is simple: discipline liberates, addiction enslaves. And if you don't see it, you'll be manipulated forever. That's why you need the raw, unfiltered truth. Not the comfortable version that keeps you stuck, but the out-of-the-box secret almost no one dares to speak. And that's exactly what I'm going to reveal now. The solution that turns vices into strength and ordinary men into men of value. What really works isn't fighting your vices head-on, as if it's a battle of sheer willpower. That's the mistake that keeps most men stuck. Willpower is limited, and if you rely on it every day to resist temptation, you will eventually lose. The secret almost no one tells you is this: the real path is redesigning your environment and reprogramming your mind. Want to flip the game? Make your environment your ally, not your enemy. Behavioral psychology studies show that humans are 80% shaped by the environment they live in. That means the disciplined man isn't necessarily stronger. He's simply smarter about how he structures his life. Example: if your struggle is porn, it's not enough to just try not to watch. You need blockers, different internet routines and activities that drain your energy in real life. If your weakness is alcohol, it's not enough to drink less. You need to cut out the environments and people that fuel the habit. Another fundamental principle: replace, never just eliminate. The brain can't handle a vacuum. If you take out a vice but don't put something powerful in its place, it will pull you back. The key is trading cheap dopamine for expensive dopamine: sports, projects, real achievements. A practical example? Men who start training martial arts report drastic drops in addictive behaviors. Why? Because the body starts demanding recovery, energy, and discipline. Now, dopamine comes from real growth, not cheap pleasure. That's the kind of replacement that changes lives. Another secret is building daily victory rituals. Jordan Peterson says, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. It sounds simple, but it's profound. Small rituals of discipline build an identity of discipline, and identity is stronger than willpower. You need to grasp this. Identity beats temptation. When you see yourself as a disciplined man, your choices shift naturally. It's no longer about resisting the vice. It's about not identifying with it. And that shift happens when you stack small daily wins that reinforce your new identity. Here's another unconventional practice: using abstinence as fuel. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." Every time you master an impulse, you build up energy and mental clarity. When you channel that build-up, it turns into focus, intensity, and magnetism. And here's the truth no one tells you: addiction isn't a lack of pleasure. It's a lack of purpose. A man with a mission has no time for vices. When you discover a goal so powerful it burns inside you, vices lose their grip. The pleasure of pursuing purpose replaces every cheap high. That's why you must define a life project, something that requires years of effort, something that stirs your soul. It could be building a business, writing a book, or creating a strong family. Without a mission, every man is vulnerable. But don't confuse purpose with pressure. You don't need the full picture today. What you need is to commit to building something bigger than yourself. That commitment is what shields you from collapse, and science confirms it. Neuroplasticity is real. Your brain can be reprogrammed in weeks if you change your habits consistently. Every time you say no to a vice and yes to a new habit, you're literally rewiring your neural connections. In 90 days, you're no longer the same man. To lock it in, there's one final step: community. Isolated men fall, connected men rise. Build bonds with people who live discipline. Because alone, you're vulnerable, but in the right group, you're unstoppable. The out-of-the-box secret isn't force, it's strategy. It's not resisting, it's replacing. It's not just cutting, it's building. And it's not just quitting vices, it's becoming a man so full of purpose that vices simply have no room. And when you walk this path, something incredible begins to happen. The transformation of your identity. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. Imagine waking up every day without that heavy guilt, without the feeling of being controlled by your own impulses. You open your eyes and know you're in command. Your choices are intentional. That's the first sign of the new you. Freedom. The lightness of no longer being a slave to what once destroyed you. Now notice how your energy shifts. You wake up energized, clear-headed, without the physical or emotional hangover of vices. Suddenly, the things that once felt impossible become natural. Training, working on projects, taking care of your body and mind. These aren't chores anymore, they're your lifestyle. And people around you can see it. Your posture changes, your gaze sharpens, your voice carries confidence. You stop being the guy who talks and become the guy who delivers. And that respect isn't begged for, it's earned. Your social circle transforms too. Disciplined men attract other disciplined men. Women notice the difference as well because they recognize the value in a man who masters himself. Suddenly, you become an example, a reference point, an inspiration without saying a word. The financial impact shows up as well. A man without vices saves time, money, and energy, and redirects it all into productivity, creativity, and real achievement. The stability that once seemed out of reach becomes tangible. But the most powerful change happens inside. You look in the mirror and finally feel proud. Not because you're perfect, but because you've won the battles that matter. That inner pride is the foundation of true masculinity. And in that moment you realize your potential was never lost. It was buried under layers of distraction and addiction. But now you've dug it up and you're ready to live as the man you always knew you could be. This is the new you, free, strong, disciplined, and full of value. And now, to lock in this transformation, we need one final step: a strategic recap and a call to action. So this message doesn't just end with the video, but sparks a movement. If you've made it this far, you already know the truth. It's not a lack of talent that destroys men. It's the silent vices that steal their time, energy, and purpose. We've seen how most men fall into the same traps, thinking they're in control of what actually controls them. I showed you the brutal consequences: lost years, broken self-esteem, damaged health, wasted opportunities. And I exposed the illusion sold by the market, designed to keep men weak, numb, and distracted. I also revealed the out-of-the-box solution: redesign your environment, replace vices with real victories, build an identity of discipline, and use the power of abstinence and purpose as fuel. No cliches, no generic advice. Now you hold the map that turns weakness into strength. From here, it's up to you to choose action. Because in the end, the world doesn't need more wasted talent. It needs men of value, men who can master themselves, build, and lead. And if you're hearing this, it's not by accident. This message found you because it's time to take the next step. Time to stop losing yourself in vices and start building the life you were meant to live. So here's what I want you to do. Drop the word discipline in the comments if you're ready to break free and live this transformation. That's your public commitment to yourself, and it shows me you're part of the rare minority who actually takes action. And of course, hit follow, because the next video will take you even deeper on this path to becoming an unshakable man. No one else is giving you this kind of truth for free. If this opened your eyes, wait until you hear what's coming next. You'll learn how just a few hidden habits separate the men who rise to the top from the men who never make it there. So turn on notifications, because what's ahead is even more powerful. This is only the beginning of your transformation.